Hello weaving friends, I have got a brand new tool for you to use today and it is completely free. I have been wanting to do this forever and I finally got it done for you. So I'm going to show you today how to use this rigid heddle loom warp and weft calculator. It's an interactive online calculator. It's on my website and it's very straightforward to use, but I thought it would be probably useful for some of you at least to be guided through it if you need that. So the first thing that you would need to do is come to my website, which is kellycasanovaweavinglessons.com. And then we're going to, if you just scroll down, the post for the warp calculator is right here. If you're viewing this video sometime after it's been made, the best way for you to find the calculator is to use the search bar here. If you just type in calculator, it will come up with this. But also, I'm going to have the link to this calculator underneath this video. So with those two things, you should be absolutely fine to be able to find it. So I'm just going to click on that and it brings up the page with the calculator on it. Now, as I point out initially, I do have a free printable calculations sheet. If you're more of a pen and paper kind of person for doing your weaving calculations, and you can absolutely use that free printable calculations sheet. And that also comes with a mini class on how to use the sheet. So either way, whatever your preference is, pen and paper or doing it on the screen, I have got you covered. So let's scroll down and it just launches into all of the calculations that you're going to need. So it does require some input from you, obviously, because each project is unique and you're going to have your own figures. But a lot of it will autofill for you to make it ever so much easier and take a lot of the mathematics out of it for you. So if you find that part of calculating difficult, adding up the different figures that you need and trying to put in the right shrinkage allowances and all of those things, then this may be a better option for you. So I'm going to make a hypothetical project. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to be weaving a scarf and I'm going to do the calculations for this hypothetical scarf. So in the desired width, that's the first place that you're going to have to input a figure. So this is the width of your scarf that you want once it's actually off the loom and wet finished and all done. So I'm going to say I would like my scarf to be 12 inches wide. Now you see, as soon as I put the 12 in, it's adding on 1.2, which is 10% for a shrinkage allowance. And then it's giving me the new figure underneath here of the total width that I'll need on the loom with that shrinkage allowance put in. The next figure that I need to put in is my set. What set am I going to use? So for my hypothetical scarf, I'm going to use my 7.5 dent heddle to give me 7.5 ends per inch. Now that I've put that in, it's taken all of these figures together and it's given me straight away, without me having to calculate it, the number of ends that I'm going to need to achieve these figures that I have input. So that is pretty cool. Let's keep going. So that's the width component. Now we'll go down to the length. We have to think, how long do I want my scarf to be? Now this is the actual weaving of the scarf, the woven part. Don't worry about your fringes or anything else like that just yet, but just how long you want that woven part to be. So I'm going to say I want my scarf to be probably 65 inches long. Now this is all in inches and I've got, most of the time I've got in brackets here to indicate whether it's in inches, yards, etc. to make it clearer for you. So again, it has input our shrinkage without us having to do anything. It's going to add that on automatically. Now the number of items, so this is where you would put in, well, how many scarves are you planning to weave? Are you doing one? Are you doing two? Are you doing three? I'm just going to put in one. I'm going to do one scarf and the length of each item. Again, you're just going to add in the 65. That is the length that I want the scarf to be, the woven length. Now the gap allowance, I'm not going to have a gap allowance for this project because I'm only doing one item. If I was doing 2 items and I wanted a gap in between them to easily separate them, then I would put that here. But I'm going to put 0 because I'm only doing 1 scarf, so no gap allowance. The fringe allowance, however, I do want to have fringe, so I have to think about how much fringe do I want to allow at the beginning of the scarf and how much do I want to allow at the end. So I'm going to say, well, I think I want to have 5 inches at the start and 5 inches at the end, and that's going to allow me to either twist the fringe or just to cut the fringe and have it a certain length, whatever I'm going to do with the fringe. But these are things that you need to plan beforehand. So I'm going to say 5 inches at either end, so 5 plus 5 is 10. So 10 inches is my total fringe allowance. Now my sampling allowance, I don't want to do any sampling on this hypothetical warp, so I'm going to put in 0. And then it's going to automatically add on your waist allowance of 18 inches. You don't have to input that. And then based on the figures that we've already put in up here, it gives us our total warp length. So this is the length that you're going to make for your scarf from your apron rod to your warping peg if you are direct warping. And it also gives you the total warp length in yards. Okay, fabulous. Now we have the figures for our actual scarf, but what about the yarn that we're going to need to weave this hypothetical scarf? Okay, so the yarn required, it has already filled in most of this. So it's pretty minimal what we need to do at this point because it's already taken all of the essential information it needs to figure out the yarn requirements from what we've already put in. So the warp ends, remember we had 99. It's already multiplied that and then it gives us the total warp yarn needed. And it gives it to you in yards first and then meters. So you can choose which one is more suitable for you. There's only one more thing we need to do now. So we're calculating the yarn required for weft. And again, it's auto-filled quite a lot of this for us, but not everything. So it's put in our total width in inches. It's put in a shrinkage allowance on that. We need to put in what our picks per inch will be. Well, I didn't mention this at the start, but my hypothetical scarf is a balanced plain weave. So that means that my picks per inch are going to be the same as my ends per inch. And if you recall, right back at the start, we're using a 7.5 dent heddle. And so my picks per inch is also going to be 7.5. Then it multiplies it for us by the total length of weaving. Don't worry about this divide by 36. That's going to autofill and it already has down here. It leaves that box blank, but what it's done is it's divided by 36 to get the total weft required, which is 300.99 yards. You don't need to click on calculate. It's already autofilled everything for you. So now you have everything that you need to get started with that hypothetical scarf. So I hope that you find this super helpful. I would love for a lot of people to be able to benefit from using this. And if you are a table loom or a floor loom weaver and you would like to see a similar calculator on my site for specific to floor loom weaving, then please let me know in the comments below and I will consider doing that as well. So I hope you go and weave something beautiful today, and until next time, happy weaving.